Hello BookTube. For the second tag I'm doing this Tag Tuesday, I'm doing the favorite author tag. The tag was created by Nicola Rojas, and I was universally tagged by Brian of Bookish. Thank you, Brian, for the tag. Who I also discovered this tag through. He did this tag earlier today. Thanks, Mayor. So I kind of struggled with this initially because I'm like, there's no author who immediately came to the top of my head that I'm immediately okay, this is my favorite author. And then watching Brian's video, I'm like, oh yes, there is an author who basically ticks these boxes that yes, she is my favorite author. So let's get on with the tags. Who's my favorite author? Agatha Christie. It took me some struggle to come to that conclusion, but it's because I was thinking of China Miéville. But I'm like, while I do love his Bosselog novels, I'm not as fond of the rest of the work he's done. And a lot of the other authors who I could maybe say are my favorites, they don't have either the number of books I really like or other factors that, no, ultimately, given the number of books of hers I've read, given how much of them I like, my favorite author is by far Agatha Christie. When or how did I discover Agatha Christie? A&E, when A&E was still good. A&E right now is poop. But in the mid to late-ish 90s, A&E was really good. And it had Biography, this long-running show that gave 1-hour biographies to various people. It had the Boston Pops. It had various other really culturally interesting shows. And it also had the Sherlock Holmes television series starring Jeremy Brett, as well as Hercule Poirot starring David Suchet, and Miss Marple starring Joan Hickson. This is where I first discovered Agatha Christie through the series, although they originally appeared on PBS's Mystery. And then one day, having discovered Agatha Christie through these adaptations, I picked up a anthology of detective fiction from my school library. And there was a story by Agatha Christie in there. It was an Hercule Poirot short story. Loved it, and set about collecting what books of hers I could find. And I had a pretty good-sized collection of Agatha Christie's novels and short story collections. Because at the time, I think her work were kind of split between two different publishers, because there were two different editions, which is weird, and I might touch on that eventually when I can remember more about it. Although I don't have those editions anymore, sadly. Question number 3. Was it instant love, or did it take me time for me to fall in love with her books? It was pretty much instant. I just found myself drawn in and wanting more. Which is your favorite books? A Pocket Full of Rye and Death on the Nile. A Pocket Full of Rye is personally my favorite Miss Marple novel, and probably my favorite Agatha Christie novel, for sentimental reasons. It was one of the first Miss Marple starring Joan Hickson episodes I saw. I was attracted to Lance Fortescue, his actor. And it really wowed me. I mean, that's what got me into Agatha Christie and into Miss Marple. And then Death on the Nile, I love that novel with a passion. I haven't really seen any adaptations of Death on the Nile. Probably should correct that. Which is my least favorite book? Passenger to Frankfurt. This is a later novel. I think it's like early 70s, maybe late 60s. It's about a man traveling to Frankfurt on business who is mistaken for someone else, I think, and he's wrapped up into international conspiracy dealing with the son of Hitler or the grandson of Hitler, and a scheme to create a chemical that will ensure world peace or something like that. Agatha Christie trying to write spy thriller fiction and not necessarily succeeding, although by this point Christie's on the decline. Her later novels are not nearly as good as her work from the 30s and 40s, which is when she was at her peak. So yeah, that's definitely... And that one I think I checked out from my school library when I had moved to Santa Fe, Texas for a brief period. How many books have I read? I have read about 27 or 28. I've read all of the Miss Marple novels. I've read a good chunk of the Poirots, not nearly as much as I would like of like the other detectives and the standalones, and not as much of the short fiction. And I haven't read really anything that hasn't been that isn't detective fiction. What best describes this author? She's very comforting, I think. Even though some of the situations aren't comforting at all. I mean, obviously she deals with murder, and a lot of these cases border on serial murder. I mean, it's not just one murder, it's one murder, then another, then another. It's like a series of murders, usually in her books. And I mean, oftentimes that's not terribly comforting, but at the same time, her style, her authorial presence is quite comforting. I guess as obviously this sort of disruption caused by all of these murders are eventually stopped and order is restored, and the varying romantic entanglements are satisfactorily resolved. So in a way, I mean, obviously she's the doyenne, the paragon of comfort, of cozy mysteries. What genre does she write? Obviously, detective fiction, although she has also written romantic fiction, which tends to be, I think amongst our critics are probably what they tend to favor as finding more critical meat to engage with than maybe her detective fiction. Certainly the recent biography of her. The author of that biography, I'm blanking on the name, she took a lot of time to really engage with the Mary Westmacott novels compared to the detective fiction. Why do you love this author? she's amazing, and obviously the comfort. She takes you into this sort of world. It's amazing. And then who do I tag? Obviously I will go Brian's route, and if you would like to do this tag, please consider yourselves tagged. If you would like me to remember to specifically tag you, please let me know down below in the comments. And yeah, I think that's about it, except for I really have got to learn how to edit these videos rather than just one take. Because I did a version of this earlier that I thought might have been a bit stronger, but I ended up getting interrupted, so I had to kind of end the video and go take care of that. But yeah, so if anybody also knows how to edit these videos or splice videos, let me know in the comments down below. Although whether or not I actually do any editing or just stick with the one take, I don't know. And it seems a bit more authentic, even if frustrating how many first takes I have to take. Anyway, so that's it for now. Thank you, BookTube. Have a great afternoon. Stay safe, and if you are American or if there's an election where you are, please vote. Thank you.